what I want to present to you is first the context of the Latin American region and some of the problems and the challenges that the region is facing. I want to stress the complexity and the diversity of this region has. There are many regions within the region. There are many cultural and ethnical contexts, and there are a diversity of ecosystems that provide goods and services. Next, please. In this region, there are different kind of fisheries, different kind of fleets, and all of them interact inland and at sea. There are many people depending on these fisheries. We have close to 20 million people that depend directly from the fisheries, and if we can multiply this for a factor of 3 or 4, we can get a figure of indirect jobs. Close to 90% of the catches of the fisheries come from small-scale fisheries in this region. Next, please. The region provides close to 12% of the total market worldwide, and we have very important industrial and semi-industrial fisheries in the region, like tuna and anchovy, but close to 80% of the catches come from small-scale fisheries, as I mentioned before. There are a diversity of ecosystems that are where a diversity of species are targeted using different forms of operations and gears. In seafood product provides an incentive for the fishers to remain in the activity. But also there are other challenges like an increase in the standards required for export. Many countries provide a lot of foreign currency through export. Among all of the problems that have been mentioned before by my colleagues, we have to add in the context of the fisheries problems of open access, illegal fishing, overexploitation, but also competition among the industry factors, different kind of industries we have operating in the area. And on top of that, we have another problem. We have limitations in the capacity for doing research in several of the countries, and that can also impose limitations to develop efficient and viable management tools. Next, please. The fisheries, as many other activities, are also stressed by many human and environmental factors. Among them, climate change has been referred already, that provides a lot of uncertainty and vulnerability on the ocean and the activities and the users. And there are a lot of economic activities developing around the coast. In this context, there are some increase in the coastal development, but also that impose pressure on with pollution, habitat degradation, and all of that will have an impact and already had an impact on the small-scale fisheries. This sector has to compete with different sectors. But the other problem is that at the country level, most of the countries have the attention is being done by sector. Has it been mentioned before, is unisectoral. There is not articulation among the sectors to solve the common problems. So we have problems of weak institutions which limits the capacities for planning and also for surveillance. Next, please. In this context, it comes the COVID-19. I call it the perfect storm. And what happens is that with the lockdown, there was a disruption in the value chain. There has to be a reconfiguration of the value chain. The market demand dropped, and then the prices, so the fishermen got an impact on their economy. And on top of that, we have all the storms in the region, in the Caribbean, in the Pacific, and all of that affects the operations of the fishermen. Small-scale fisheries have been very, very affected at this time. And also, the possibility to monitor the resources to do fisheries assessment is being impacted, and surveillance, of course. There are a lot of reports on an increase on illegal fishing. All these contexts impose serious problems in the economic context and, of course, in the social context. And here it comes, all this technology development and the digitalization of markets, and this is good. But the problem is that there is a digital gap, because not all the countries have the same capacities to access that technology. And even within each country, there could be different regions that could have better capacity than others. So there is a digital gap there. Next, please. In this region, I find it very, very interesting region that we can take advantage of many of the resources that are there, or the capacities that are there. So at the international, regional, and local level, the fisheries have been walking through the crisis before the COVID and now after the COVID. What is there? FAO has been promoting some dialogues through the different type of webinars. There is a digital platform for market, but this is for crops. I haven't seen, I couldn't find if there is something similar for fisheries, but there is important to have this information available for everyone. There are also, recently, there was a meeting organized by FAO to promote cooperation in the region, trading, connections. There are several banks that have been already there in the region, working, supporting projects, and promoting some collaboration, like the World Bank, and those supports are really, really necessary to remain and even improve in this context. The project of Hidden Harvest promoted by FAO to raise the profile is there also, so we can take advantage of all those resources, all that information. TBTI is an international network that has been working for a decade already, trying to raise the profile of the small-scale fisheries, connection, training. And here I want to stress the importance of NGOs, or what we call social organizations, that can be a network, that can be, I look at them as a bridge between government, academia, the sector, and they are at all the levels, international to the local level. And here at the regional level, here is just a small list of some of the regional bodies that already exist in the region. My colleagues have already mentioned a lot of them. And to me, this is very important. This is where we can take advantage. And here is where we can look at how the region can or might have a transit to the blue economy. So at the regional level, every country has been facing the problems according to their capacities and trying to move toward this technology development, digitalization, communication, and technology. But all these regional bodies can make a difference. They are already working on cross-sectoral marine planning, the problem sargassum that has been mentioned before, and some regional management plans. At the local levels, the fishers have responded. Already, they have been looking for an adaptive response, and one of the most important that we have seen in different fora, and here even we have been doing some interviews with fishermen, is that they are raising the awareness towards local markets. They are addressing going to cities and using the social media to promote their products. At the local level, there is a lot of need to rebuild livelihoods, build capacity, and especially health and social security. We cannot face COVID if we cannot have access to clean water, or we don't have access to sanitization or health resources and capacity. So the next, please. And all these levels of organization had to be interconnected. In this context, what we can say about the blue economy? What are the windows that can offer an opportunity for the small-scale fisheries? If we see the blue economy as this framework or this system that can allow to go towards healthy oceans that can benefit current and future generations through innovation, through generation of local employment and socio-ecological and economic development, we could say yes, the blue economy could offer a window of opportunity for the small-scale fisheries. There is not more room for expansion. Fisheries cannot keep growing, but it can be still providing some economic benefits for the coastal communities if they can get some empowerment within this context. Digitalization of market is already there. So how we can improve that to benefit the small-scale fisheries. The added value is one opportunity that could benefit the small-scale fisheries. Coordination among sectors is an opportunity for small-scale fisheries. The tourism depends on the fisheries, and the fisheries depend on the tourism. And we have seen that now with COVID. So this is an opportunity for the sectors to work together. So when we talk about how to reach economic efficiency and maintain the socio-ecological sustainability, we have to account for the small-scale fisheries context. So here I want to bring this concept of blue justice and beach grabbing. So how we can ensure that people are not excluded when we talk about the blue economy or blue projects. It has been mentioned by the colleagues that sometimes this flag of blue growth is used as an equivalent of blue economy. Blue economy requires sustainability, requires taking care of people, requires equality. Here, next, please. The other point is how we are going to get the support to build this capacity for the small-scale fisheries. There are opportunities for the transition, yes, but it's very important to ensure that this transition is in accordance with the small development goals and with the voluntary small-scale fisheries guidelines. When we talk about small-scale fisheries, we have to take into account all these concepts. And it has been mentioned before, there is not one magical wand, there is not a suit that fits everyone, and we know that especially in the region. Every country has different contexts, and we have to acknowledge that and being adaptive for the transition to blue economy and act accordingly. It is very important to secure social and health for the countries, for the regions, and for small-scale fisheries, and recognize the historical rights. We need to have social and ecological responsibility. To me, and it has been mentioned by some of our speakers, how we can join all these dots. Empowering the regional bodies in this area is very important. To me, it's an opportunity. And local organizations. The government cannot do all, and the industry and the private sector is expecting a benefit. Nobody is going to invest in something that don't get a benefit. So here is very important the participation of these regional bodies and the small or local organizations. So we have to build capacity at different levels. We have to favor this intersectoral cooperation, and also it has to be that also at the institutional level. All of those in charge of any sector also have to talk among them. We have to move from this unisectoral context. So we have also to do science and technology. We cannot have innovation if we don't have science, if we don't have knowledge. Next, please. Within this transition, we are in a crisis, yes. We have challenges, yes, but we also have opportunities. And for that, we need to adapt. And this adaptation, as I mentioned, is not the same possibility for everyone. There are multidimensional challenges and multidimensional approaches. And so we have to go in this transition, in this adaptation, with the support of local, regional, national, and international organizations. If we want to support social, economic, and ecological sustainability use of our oceans for current and future generations, we need to recognize that this system is very dynamic, and the sectors and the people and the oceans are very dynamic. We have to move ahead. Next, please. And in this context, I think it could be an error to move backwards. We need to move ahead, and we need to do it together. We have to cooperate, and With all these panelists, I really got very excited about the possibilities that the region can do working together. And with this, I conclude. Thank you very much.